Hello guys and girls, how's it going? Me, Screezilla here. I sort of cut it off. No head anymore. Save some weight. Lost some weight with it, it's good. You join me today for some more Diaries of a Rookie Racing Driver, or iRacing Driver as it is. Simulator driver, yes. So you join me today, Pocono, in the Chevrolet Silverado. Going to be racing at Pocono, one of my least favourite tracks in the universe. A track I despise with some much vile. Anyway, I'm going to be racing at Pocono. And yeah, we'll see how well it goes. Hopefully I won't be too far off the pace. Pocono, as I said, is one of my least favourite tracks, and in these trucks it can be really quite tricky. One of the things about these trucks is they're very light at the rear. They've got a lot of power, big beefy V8 engine in the front, and not very heavy cars, you know, well, heavy for racing cars, but they're relatively light at the rear though, and it causes them to be a little bit tail happy. And well, at Pocono, the third corner is a bit of a bastard. It's very slippery indeed, and it can be very tricky. So, it's one of my least favourite tracks and one of my least favourite corners. So, we're going to start with qualifying. So, we've got a one-shot qualifying. So, we get to do 2 laps. But this is our only chance to qualify. So, we will go for it. Now, of course, I've got the camera set up for my steering wheel, so you can see my my hands as they do the work. And of course, my gear stick just here. Not going to be much gear changing in this race, in all honesty. Because you're generally going to be going around at 4th gear. Well, if you're doing it right, you're going to be going around at 4th gear. The only time you're going to need to change gear is if you really stuff up and lose the tail, or go into the pit lane. That corner there is one of my least favourite corners, just because it's so slippery, and you just lose the outside, lose the tail of the car so easily. It's a really easy thing to do. So, we're on our qualifying lap now. Just got to play with the throttle around these corners, because the car is constantly wanting to step out on you, so you're always playing with that throttle just so your car doesn't lose the rear end. And just a gentle application of the brakes as you go into these corners, letting the engine do most of the braking for you. And then back on the accelerator, just nice and gently. If you go on too hardly, if you stamp it, if you stab the accelerator, you're going to have real big problems, because it's going to just light the tail up and make you spin around. Okay, so if we get anywhere below a 1 minute, we're doing okay. So that was a 58. That's actually my best lap so far. So it's probably my fastest lap of this circuit. So I'm pretty happy for that for qualifying. The real fast guys are probably going to be setting around about a 56. So that's quite a good little time there. Probably going to be a bit slower on this lap, because I was just a little bit more cautious, in all honesty. No, 58.4. Okay, beautiful. Okay, actually a lot faster. As is often the case when you're racing a car. When you feel like you're going slow, you're actually going fast. When you feel like you're going fast, you're actually going slow. And it's one of the weird little things when you're actually racing a car is if you're driving it too fast, you overdrive it, and you feel like you're going faster, but you're actually going a lot slower than you think you are. But when you're going slow, well, when you think you're going slow, you're actually going a lot faster because you're just relaxed. And if you're in that relaxed state, it's almost like a zen-like state. Now, my goal is to get through this without having any trouble. Have a trouble-free race, have a nice, easy race, basically. But, of course, I want to race. You know, it's hard not to race. It's hard not to go fast.
There'll be a pump smoke pit road.
Now, this is going to be a rolling start, of course, in these cars. Now you see me riding the brake there. That's just to basically heat the tyres up from the inside a little bit, rather than doing the old swervy across the track. When you're in these formations, you don't want to be too swervy.
No. Oh, yeah.
So we're behind the second place car here.
Talking about scrubbing your tires in this game, yeah, it actually does the total opposite of what it does in real life.
We're going to start forming up after the shortly. Now, of course, you can't pass the car in front of you until the green flag is shown.
I actually go to the tyre information and it never changes.
So
you lose tyre grip at the end of the ride. I don't get it.
Now we're going to be
sometimes
starting in third gear here.
Sometimes it doesn't. But scrubbing your tires,
and then we'll go up to fourth once we get the speed up a little bit. We want to be in third at the moment because we want to be able to get that little bit of extra speed. Now the lead car basically becomes the pit car, the pace car as soon as it goes into the pits. So they set the pace.
Green, green, green.
And away we go.
Wow.
Somebody noses me straight away into the wall. Ah, joys. Joys of the rookies.
I backed out of it because I was going to get a black flag. Lucky.
Now, luckily we haven't got too much damage there. The number 2 car basically sort of, well, he sped off at the start there. And then caused a bit of a ripple effect because, of course, you know, when somebody does that, you sort of can't really follow them because you'd overtake the car in front of you before the green. So not the best start. Unfortunately, I'm stuck down here in the rookies for the time being, and even though I am a rookie, unfortunately the rookies are notorious for bad driving, where people, as you just saw, are happy to nudge you into the wall, nose you into the wall and stuff like that.
Thank you very much.
Which is very frustrating. I was actually having a race in the Pontiac Solstice in a mixed class car cup, and a guy in 4th place decided to just ram me without any sort of any justification to it, really. Just get past the number 2 car there without him hopefully taking us out. So yeah, it is a bit frustrating sometimes racing in these series. We're about 6 seconds down from the car in front. Let's see if we can catch them. So my main goal in this race is to try and get through instant free, because basically you want to build up your I rating points to get up to the next class and basically get out of the rookies. It's a big problem, I think, with iRacing, you know, just the fact that you do get sort of a lot of people in the in the rookie area is where you start. So you get a lot of the idiots who just drive to really wreck people and cause accidents and stuff like that. Because with that, it makes it very hard for somebody trying to sort of start from the beginning. When you're starting the game, it's very hard, in fact, because you know you've got these people that are just causing wrecks and causing accidents who don't really care, who just play it for a bit of laugh, a bit of fun, even though you'd think they wouldn't, but they do. But when you're actually trying to get up the series a little bit, it makes it a little bit more tricky. And unfortunately, the automated points deduction system doesn't sort of look at it like, oh, okay, no, that was totally not your fault. It's you get penalised for crashes that are not your own, unfortunately. So it's a bit frustrating sometimes. Got to let that go. Got to let that bad start go. Got to let all the damage go. And luckily, we didn't receive too much damage on the car. In all honesty, car's looking pretty straight from what I can see in here, and it's not feeling bad. So we've got to let that go behind us, and then get back up to speed. Now I do apologise if there's some silent points in these videos, because I'm not going to be talking through the whole race, of course, because I am concentrating quite hard in these. We are catching quite quickly on the guy in front of us, and we are going to start to get into his slipstream soon. Now that's good and bad. The good part is it's going to help us get a little bit faster and also help us preserve a bit more fuel. The bad part is you do get a little bit less aero on the front of your car, so when you're going through turns and corners and stuff, the car does get a little bit different. So when you're in a groove, when you've been driving this car round and round and round in clean air, once you get in dirty air, it can be quite a different beast, and it can be quite a different story, because the car will start to just brake in different positions and start to just get loose in different positions. Now luckily we had a car crash in front of us there. Well, not luckily, but you know, car crash in front of us. The guy in front of me just lifted off a little bit, which is understandable. In these sort of races, you have to be. It's about avoiding accidents as much as it is about being fast. One of the things is you can build on consistency and speed, and consistency and avoidance of accidents, but you can't really build on speed that much. It's easier to be a slower driver and get faster than it is to be a fast driver and learn to not make mistakes. Although it's nice to be both, of course. Just got to be a bit careful on these corners as well, Pocono, because if you go a bit too low, if you get near that curb, it just gets really, really slippery. And the car just wants to step away from you. It's just, I hate this circuit because it's like you're on edge constantly. Although it has got some nice long straights, the corners that are very tricky, and they can really catch you out if you sort of lose concentration for a couple of seconds. Whereas some ovals, you know, you can relax a little bit on some corners because you know you're not going to get the car behaving weirdly. You're going to have the car acting as you want it to act. Quite a few people disconnect, I think, because they are doing poorly. And unfortunately, in my time zone, of course, it's a weird time zone to be in Australia because you sort of catch everybody as they're waking up. Just the leader coming through there, and I wasn't going to put up too much of a fight going a lap down, in all honesty. But one thing it can do is it can give you a bit of an idea where you're losing speed. Of course, you're not going to stay with the leader too long, but you can watch their lines a little bit and learn a little bit about the track from it. You had a bit of a moment there coming on the outside of that corner. As I said, that corner I just hated so much. I despise that corner with so much. Actually, that wasn't the leader, that was a rival. Yeah. Well, a much faster rival, obviously. Somebody that's had some problems early on in the race, obviously. One of the much faster cars, and got past me, so we're not a lap down. Yay! Completely missing the apex of that corner. Some of these drivers just got so much more confidence out on the track as well, and you can see that with their speeds. You know, it's my average speed is about 1 minute, late 1 minutes, you know, and the good drivers are doing, you know, 98s, 97s, sorry, 58s, 57s constantly, and you know, it's a big difference when you're still getting used to a car, still very, very new and sort of a bit green. It takes a while. And one of the other things, I guess, is because this is a stock setup, everybody's got the same sort of conditions for the car, which is nice because you don't have any real advantages from that. However, you can't set the car up to your liking, so sometimes you might just come to a track where you're just unable to get the car doing what you want it to do because you can't set it up, and that was a terrible corner. Yeah, lost a good half a second on that corner. the confidence to sit close to the wall as well, because you do lose a bit of peripheral vision, of course, in using a monitor. If you've got a very wide monitor, for instance, it can help an awful lot, or if you're using VR, because you've got that peripheral vision, which you don't have when you're driving like this. And one of my friends, E53, Edward, he's recently just gotten a widescreen monitor for this sort of racing, and he was telling me today it's sort of a big difference, because it gives him just that a bit more peripheral vision, and just it makes you more confident as you're coming out of these corners, because if you can see the wall a little bit, you can sort of feel like where you are, not be too close, not be too far away, and that makes a huge difference as well. As much as iRacing is a sort of series that basically requires less technology, because you don't need a racing car for it, you still need technology like racing equipment. For instance, the steering wheel, the G27 I've got here, it's a bit of an older generation steering wheel, but it's still good. However, there are much better steering wheels out there which do a much better job of giving you better feedback, for instance. We'll just use this to make a pit stop. That's what we were doing. Yeah, we were making a pit stop. We just lost the back end there as we were coming through that corner. Okay, not the slickest pit stop, but at least we'll get everything fixed up. So we've now got fresh tyres, which will help a little bit, because of course during the race our tyres will go off a little bit. Now in that run it's not going to go too far off, but it will help a little bit getting those fresh tyres, and you do find that the car does get a little bit loose on this track around about the 12th to 15th lap. I found that it's quite hard to keep running on these tyres. Looks like the leader's actually pitted as well, so you'll probably find most people will just make a quick stop just to get fresh tyres, in all honesty, for this track, because it just really does help, giving you that extra little bit of grip for this track, and you're going to make less mistakes. Now the leader has pitted. Drop down to 6th position. I think hopefully the guy in front of me is the guy I'm racing.
Come out of the pit.
And of course we're going to have that advantage of having those fresher tyres, which are just going to give us that little bit of extra grip. We would have lost a lot of track position from that, as well as making that mistake wouldn't have helped, of course. But hopefully having these fresher tyres is really going to help us out with our general lap pace. 58, yeah, we've just set the fastest lap for our race so far. I've just got to watch these guys in front of us now, because of course if they make a mistake we can get taken with them. But we're going to be so much faster through the corners here. As you can see, they're scrubbing out a lot of speed. The cars are all over the place. we've got a lot more speed than these two guys just because we've got those fresher tyres. Draft from this guy. This is the guy that one of the guys that lapped us earlier on, and as you can see, he's just losing so much speed when he's coming out of the corner. Go down for the low line. Just gotta watch out so he doesn't pinch us. And he did in fact go off, as you can see. Managed to avoid contact there. We did get a little rub from behind from the car we're racing. But nothing major, just a little love tap. That's fine. You know, that sort of tap is fine. Earlier on when we had that start incident, you know, it was heavy contact in the rear, and that really did cause some problems for us. But we should be relatively good for getting away from the guy behind us now. Thierry Falzone, as long as we keep mistake free. What's one of the other things now is the track has rubbered in a lot better. So now we're on those fresh tyres with lots of nice grippy rubber on the surface of the track, which really helps out for the car, makes it stick to the surface a little bit more. Basically, think of it like contact adhesive or epoxy adhesives, where you need two different types of adhesive to make it work. A race car on the track is kind of like that. When you've got tyres, when you've got rubber down, it holds onto that rubber and it acts as an extra bit of grip for the car. So it just makes the car a little bit easier to drive. But of course you are losing that rubber constantly. So that rubber on the track is rubber that's come off of your car, remember. So you have to be a bit you have to remember that constantly as you're lapping, you're losing that rubber and it's going onto the surface of the track. Now on the track it's all well and good, but when you're losing it off your car, it doesn't help too much. It does make it very, very tricky to drive. But when a track has rubbered in a bit more, it does make life a lot easier. Running on a green track, especially Pocono, is just hellish. If only we had this pace all race long. Now, is it worth pitting? If I didn't have that incident next to the pit lane, would I still have pitted? I probably would have thought about it, in all honesty, because you can see the amount of time that we've gained on the car behind us. We're also gaining on the car in front of us a little bit, who is a faster driver, and we're sort of setting those constant lap times in sort of 58s, 59s, about a second faster than the laps we were setting before. And the main thing is we're actually a little bit more grippy, so the car is wanting to stick to the surface of the track, so we're less likely to make an arse of ourselves and crash. So, you know, stopping halfway through this race can be a good way, especially as you're trying to get up the ranks a little bit. You know, I'd probably say a bit differently if you're in the lead having a ding-dong battle with somebody and that you're not the same sort of pace as them. Because you're going to lose so much time in a pit stop, especially a green flag pit stop, because there's no full course cautions in this mode. Climbed our way up to 4th place apparently. Probably out of 4 drivers. Just 2 laps to go. Now, of course, fuel isn't an issue on a race like this. It's not something we need to worry about or really think about. Look, with this fact that I probably would like to stop for tyres at least once in this race, it might be worth taking on a bit less fuel and just taking enough fuel to get me halfway through the race. Just because then it's going to be a lighter car. Again, it's going to be easier to control. But that's something to think about later down the track. Got a good 10-second gap behind us. So with that, we can afford to be a little bit relaxed. When I say relaxed, I mean just not pushing to the limit. Now we're on our last lap now, because we are a lap down, of course. But basically, we don't want to make any silly mistakes now. That's the main thing. It's all a thing of finishing.
Good one, Fred. Good racing.
Across the line in 4th place, which I'm happy with, in all honesty. I'm quite happy with that. Just go around and head to the pit lane. So that's that race over and done with. Pocono is done. Congratulations to the winner, Scott Grimm, obviously finishing 3rd. I can't see who else has finished. But started in 4th, finished in 4th. I can't complain too much at that. If I hadn't been sort of smacked up the arse at the start, probably could have done a little bit better. Don't know, not sure. I probably would have finished in 4th, in all honesty. I don't think I was, there was probably better drivers behind me as well, so, who knows where I would have finished. But six penalty points for the race. Not great, but not too bad, in all honesty. At least it was a relatively clean race. As I said, on my behalf at least, I feel like it was a clean race. So that's nice. And that's lap 25. So we did all 25 laps in the end. There we go. It makes me feel a little bit better. So we'll just slide into our pit stall. And we'll head out of this for a second and see where everybody else finished. So let's see the results. So we finished 1 lap down behind this guy. So the winner obviously was very fast. The top 3 had a good race. Okay. Right, let's just jump. So let's have a look at this restart again. No, don't want to go in reverse. So we'll be able to see sort of roughly what's going on here. So we were in 4th place. So the number 2 car jumped a little bit, and that sort of left the rest of the pack a little bit out of sorts. And then the number 6 car pushes me up into number 7 car, and that's where the big one happens. So yeah, sorry about that, Thierry Falzon, Josh Burden, screw you, mate. So yeah, not incident free, unfortunately. I would have liked it if we'd actually got a clean start there, but not terrible in all honesty. You know, as I said, I'm not too disappointed with that in all honesty. You know, I'm still relatively new to iRacing, so it's still getting used to it. So number 6 is behind me. I'm not sure, maybe I tapped the number 7, but I say I felt like he sort of went up the rear of me. And racing drivers, you know, racing drivers are always going to say the other person's at fault. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, and there will be another one of these eventually. Probably at a different racetrack. Might be a different car. Let me know below what you thought. Let me know if you liked this. If you enjoyed it. Any comments on it or anything like that. If you have any questions, or if you want to know anything about stuff, or just tips or stuff like that in general, let me know. And I'll catch you all next time. This is me, Carl Screwzilla, out. Bye bye.